I'm out of hibernation. I have been hibernating because winter's rubbish, quite frankly. And I just didn't feel like recording, didn't feel up to it. But also, I had a big project due for my coaching course. That's submitted now. Oh. So I finally have a bit more headspace to think about gardening, which is perfect timing because it's now March and spring has sprung. I haven't been completely neglecting my gardening duties. As you can tell, my mini greenhouse thing stand is here. I've actually got all of my plants hardening off. So that's things like tomatoes, peppers, sunflowers, chilies are all outside, starting to get a bit used to the cooler weather. I won't put them out there for too long because it's only their second day out there. So I'll probably bring them in about half an hour or so. You and I, we've got a couple of fun projects to prepare for those plants going out, because obviously it's March, our last frost where I am. It's kind of a zone 9. It's a bit of an anomaly in the UK, but we are zone 9, and so our last frost date is about the 10th of April, 9th or 10th of April, which means if I put those plants out and we hit by a late frost, they're gone. So I saw this hack off the channel More Than Gardeners, where they cover up their plants. And the reason I wanted to do this is twofold. First, because it will warm up the soil around the plant a tiny bit and it will keep the plant nice and happy. But also it protects it from wind, from frost, from critters that might come along and try and eat yummy early seedlings. Now, what I've done is I've bought these candy buckets from a retailer. Now, if I were to just plonk this on top of my plant, the plants would be very unhappy. First, they'd overheat and they'd probably burn. And also, they wouldn't have any like fresh oxygen, which they need. So I'm going to be drilling a hole in every single one of these 50 buckets that I bought. And then my next project is going to be, so I've got some trays here. I'm going to plant some flower seedlings, but I also want to try out, I'm trying out a lot of new methods. Today, I want to try seed snails. So I have the bags from my IYKYK compost that I'm going to cut up. I'm probably actually going to leave it this height, weirdly, because it's for bean seeds and I want them to be about that long. So I'm going to get all of my peas, my mange tout, my runner beans, and my French beans started today in seed snails. So that's project number 2. So we've got holes, seed snails, and then lastly, I'm going to fill up these trays with whatever compost is left and start out my flowers. So that's what we got in store for today. I'm going to get my drill set up, and then you're probably going to go on mute while we get that sorted. So just got to remember how to use drill. That works. Yeah, it seems to have caught it. Right, let's see how we go. I'm going to do 3 little holes, I think. So let's see how this plastic holds up first. Badly. So I don't know if I need to put it on something to kind of protect it. It's very thin plastic. What if I do the hole in the middle? That's much better. That plastic holds up better. So I think we're just going to do one big hole. Right, just going to do the one pile because I think that might be enough anyway. Okay, right. Let's put things back as we found them. That's quite a handy little drill there. Okay. So when I get round to planting out my peppers, my tomatoes in the garden, I'll show you what I'm going to do with those. So project number 2, I'm going to just check that my compost is rehydrated, and then I will do some seed snails. I think because I could make them longer if I do it that way up, which might work better. So, got my seed snail wraps. I think I was going to just put it straight in here, but I think what I need to do is put my snail in here and roll it up in there while I'm going. Just make sure that this is a nice mix. And if you're wondering why I'm using a spoon instead of a trowel, it's because I can't be bothered to walk all the way to the shed. All the jobs that I could do inside. Right, let's have a go. So I need to leave a bit at the beginning to fold in. Probably not that much though. Let's go with that much. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, roll it up, and then carry on, because I think that's probably too much at the end, but I do want the whole thing. So kind of see how we go there. Oh, you know what? I just had a really good thought. Some of these ones that I've not done holes in yet, I could use to sit them in. All right, well then that gives me a limit on, I guess, how thick. So do this nice and tight, like you're rolling a Swiss roll. If you're a baker, you'll know. So my thought for this is I've got quite a lot of beans and runner beans and things that I want to start, because they're going to go along all the way along the edges of my raised beds. As you can see, I've already made a start. The reason being is that I was doing a bit of an experiment and I wanted to check if it worked before putting it on YouTube. So that's why I've already started, and my room looks a bit of a mess, if I am being honest. However, what I am doing is I'm trying something new to start my seeds. So last year I got these container-wise trays, UV resistant. They're really solid, will last you a good 15 years maybe. Comes with a nice tray and it comes with a greenhouse lid, which is fantastic. However, I have a voracious appetite for growing seeds and it's not enough for me. And the other thing that I would like to try and get right this year is onions. Now, there are several reasons why I've struggled with onions in the past. First one being root disturbance. When I'm planting out, I sort of tear them apart, put them out. I don't know why, they struggle with it. So this year I'm trying seed blocking, but I already spent a load of money on these last year. I don't want to buy a whole load of seed blocking equipment. So I'm experimenting. Can I use my existing trays to create the blocks? And the answer is yes, I can. So I managed to get off Facebook Marketplace for a £5 all of these little trays, and some of them already had holes drilled in. So I thought, great, I'll use the ones that have holes drilled in to carry the blocks, and then I'll put the ones that don't have holes in underneath to carry some water and be a bit of a reservoir there. I might need to put some little rocks under just to make the reservoir a bit bigger, just because otherwise I think the seed blocks will still be sitting in water a little bit, which I don't want. So I've done 2 trays already, as you can see. I'm just going to bring that a little bit closer for you. Enjoy me crawling on my knees. And this is what it looks like. So this is 40 blocks. And what I really like about this method is I've done them all in one go. I find that the ones where you get like 4 little blocks, the thought of buying an ink was just too much. And also I thought, surely there's a quicker way to do it. And there is, so let me show you. So all I've done is I've taken my shallow trays. Now I want shallow trays for this because it's just for onions. They don't need to have deep roots before they get planted outside. And all I'm doing is I'm taking my seed starting mix. So this is the one from Coco and Qua. It's not just coconut fibre. It's also like more compost, so it's got a bit of extra stuff in there, minerals and nutrients and stuff to get seeds started. So I quite like that mix. Got it all moistened in my bucket, and you want it to the point where, if I show you, I can't really see brilliantly, but if I give it a good squeeze, probably not that much actually, you want it to be able to let go of some water. It needs to be that moist so that when you leave it, it kind of blocks up in your hand a little bit. It doesn't just crumble away. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to push it in as tight as I can. So there we go, just starting to fill all of my trays. And you'll notice I've got a second tray out. That's because once I've filled all of these, I'm actually going to push the other tray on top to tamp it down. So you've got 40 tamps on 40 squares. Means you can get it all done at once. But this bit does take a little bit of time. And I won't worry too much about the soil being too moist, because as I push it into here, some of the moisture is going to leave out the holes in the bottom that this tray already has. So that'll be quite handy. I'm trying to think how many onions I'm going to do this year. I think I'm going to start as many as possible, because that's just me. But also because there's a lot of things I don't want to grow this year, just because I had such bad luck with them. And do you know what? I had such bad luck that I didn't even show you because I was that embarrassed. But brassicas are not for me. That's all I will say about that. So I'm not doing brassicas this year, although maybe if you convince me how to do them properly, maybe I will. But yeah, if you comment how do I do brassicas, then I think there must be something I'm missing, or they just don't like me. I don't know. I think as a gardener, you kind of get an affinity for certain plants. Tomatoes, for some reason, I always end up with gluts and gluts of tomatoes. They love me. I could leave them benign neglect, and they'll spring right back. But if I neglect my brassicas, they don't like it for some reason. Or maybe they don't like the way that I neglected them. Maybe that's the problem. I think half the problem was, actually, if I'm being honest, they spent too long in a pot before I had time to put them in the ground, because I was rotating them with my garlic, you see. And because I wanted an autumn crop of the brassicas. So I thought, well, I get them started a little bit sooner, and then I'll get them in as soon as I take the garlic out. I can put some new compost in, get my brassicas in, and then have a nice harvest for autumn. You know, crop rotation, nice and easy, like Hugh taught me. And for some reason, it didn't work. And I think I kind of just didn't get round to putting them in the ground once I'd taken the garlic out. I think I almost needed to get them in the ground. Maybe this is something that might convince me, actually, is if I start them a bit later, and I start them maybe a week or two before I plan to take out my garlic, and then just go take them straight out of the plug tray and straight into the garden. So maybe that. And then also, I think spacing, I was like a little bit tight with the spacing. They weren't like ridiculously close, but I have heard that brassicas are very finicky about having enough space. And I just thought, let's experiment and see if that's really true. Turns out it is. So I do need to do that. And I think the other thing I'd like to get better with this year, grass is falling down, is fertilizing a bit more frequently. Because I think I just didn't do that enough last time. All right, so we're getting to the point where all of them are pretty much, nope, tell a lie, that one was not. This is why you always double check. So once they get to a point where they're pretty much finger tight, as it were, I'm going to go in with my other tray, and we're going to see if there's any more space for them. So I'm just going to bring this one over here, so I've got something steady to lean it on. Got my second tray here, straight over, line it up nicely, and just push. And just try and get all of my body weight to tamp it down, because I want these oil blocks to be nice and firm, because they've not got anything else to hold them together except themselves. So, shall see if the cocoa coir is actually any good for seed blocking. You're probably going to come back and tell me it's not, and to use Silver Grow or something especially fancy. Although, to be fair, maybe cocoa coir is pretty fancy already. And since I'm spending that amount, I might as well spend it on something that really works. I am proud of myself this year, though. I'll put a little video of me. This year I have dug out and sifted all of the wood chip to create compost. And I've mixed it half and half with the compost that was left from my pots last year, just to kind of refresh it and give good structure. But yeah, that was sort of my plan. So those feel really nice and tight. They don't have, why does this keep happening? I keep getting told off by myself as I'm talking. Showing myself up by finding the odd one that does in fact have a bit more space in it. Oh well, you're never going to get anything perfectly right, are you? Okay, right. So the way that I like to get this into the tray without spilling everything everywhere is I take the tray, put it upside down over my seed starting tray. And thankfully this is the perfect size, so it works quite well for this purpose. And then I pop it on top of that one, and then it's quite nice because there's holes, so you just go pop, pop, pop. And this is genuinely, it's the most satisfying thing. If you like ASMR, just pock out some plugs from a seed tray. So nice. All right, there we go. And then just lift it off. Oh, one didn't pock out. Shocking. All right, let's see. That one is very upset with me, apparently. Right. I'm going to see if these actually work all season. You never know. I might be a fool, absolute fool doing it this way. But you never try. You never know. And I've got 40, 80, 120, 160 onions to start tonight. So I would like to be proven right. I was trying to remember, I'm also going to be starting my peppers and aubergines because they need, the things that I'm starting now in January are things that need a really long season to develop and establish themselves if you're going to grow them from seed. And so onions, if you want really big onions, you need to give them enough space and you need to give them enough time because they're slow growers. And so all of the people that grow competition size onions, grow them, start them in January. So I just realised I haven't started my chamomile tea for my peppers. Probably should do that, although I think my phone's about to die anyway. So I'll get these done. You probably won't be here by the time I finish. Okay, so it's the next morning, and this is why we do multiple experiments, because this experiment has failed with just the pure cocoa coir compost, which is that they're still relatively loose. They're not sticking together well. So I worry that my mix is not suitable really. Like, while it's great for starting in the module trays because it keeps everything nice and loose, it doesn't hold together and stick together as a block. So if I want to do seed blocking, I think I need to add something stickier. So I've heard that clay is very good for this, and there is actually quite a lot of clay in our garden. So my plan for dealing with this is I'm going to dig up some clay, which sounds a bit silly, but you know, it's worth a try. So I'm going to grab a bucket, get some clay. I'm going to rinse it off where I can, just in case there's any bugs or anything in it. And big rocks, I don't want any chunks of big rock, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to separate off a section of the cocoa coir, and I'm not going to use this big whole bucket, don't worry, it's not all going to go to waste, because some of it I do want just for like my modules. But yes, I would like to try this seed blocking and I would like it to work.
Hello, Amy from the future here. I unfortunately didn't realise that my mic was not working, so I'm talking to you but not talking to you. Oh well, we live and learn. So as you can see, as I'm talking to you here in the video, I am mixing clay that I sifted from the garden. Just dug up a little bit, and I've measured it out using just a normal jug, so that I've got kind of 50-50 clay and compost, and I just sort of started with that amount. You can always add more compost. I didn't really fancy digging up more clay, so I wanted to make sure that it was sticky enough. So I do actually in the end add a bit more compost. I think I go for a 3-to-1 ratio, 3 parts cocoa coir, 1 part clay. And that actually seems to work really well for this. You'll kind of see as we go along. But yeah, I'm just using my son's tough tray, because use what you got, right? To mix that together and just trying to make sure it's got a nice mix to it. I'm also using my son's trowel there. I'm not sure why I couldn't find mine. I think I might have left it out in the garden somewhere in the hedge. Oh well. This is chaos gardening with Amy. Experimenting, trying new things. Alright, excuse me as I put on my gloves. But I'm going to do the squeeze test. Same squeeze test that we did yesterday. And this time, I do something different. I'm going to throw it. Jokes, I'm not going to throw it. I'm just going to, like, lift it in my hand. I just want to see if it holds together, which it does seem to. But, you know, I'm going to add a bit more compost here. And just keep adding as I go. Just getting in with my hands here now. The trowel's too small. It's too small. And I want to get it done. So we'll just see how we go. It's quite a good workout, this little mixing. Oh, here we go. Throw test. Are we going to do it? Yep, it holds together. Perfect. And now I'm going to fill in my modules. Basically the same thing as I did last night with the mix that didn't work. I'm just going to shove it in. I'm going to push it down with the other tray that I've got there. And then I'm going to flip it into my trays. And you can just enjoy this time. I might put some music here, just so you can enjoy it. Alright, well, that's me